Good evening, Georgia. Good evening, Henry County. I am Jaden Williams. I serve as a community leader throughout the state of Georgia, but I also serve as the planning commissioner for the city of Stockbridge, also recognized as the youngest planning commissioner in the state of Georgia. And I'm excited because we have a special guest with us today. I want to first welcome you all to the Community Conclave. I started this community conclave for us to all have conversations on what can be done in our communities, what can be done in the state, and how we can better build our next generation. So with me today, I have Henry County School Board member of District 5, Mr. McKenzie McDaniel. And let me just give you a backstory. When Mr. McDaniel was running for office, I had some questions about him, but he's in my district. I am a graduate of Dutchtown High School, and he's done extremely well in representing our students, our schools board, and our county. So without further ado, please welcome McKenzie McDaniel to Community Conclave.
Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening. How are you?
I can't complain, sir. It's a beautiful day.
Yes, indeed. Well, we're honored to have you here on the Community Conclave with us. Let's just start off by just letting you introduce yourself to the community.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Williams. I know you as Jaden, so but thank you so much for this opportunity to be with you on today and to talk to so many people that follow you and to follow everything that you're doing. And you spoke it well about your biography, sir. You are a community leader here within the county and the state. And again, my name is Mr. McKenzie McDaniel. I am the District 5 Board of Education member here in Henry County. And as Mr. Williams said, one of the schools that I have out of the 24 of them is Dutchtown High School. And Dutchtown High School is one of the largest high schools here in Henry County. And they are one of the schools that produce a lot of excellent students that go on and do great things. A little bit about District 5, if you don't mind, Mr. Williams, is that I currently have 24 out of the 50 schools in my district or that I help oversee. There are 5 members on the Board of Education. I was originally elected the District 2 Board of Education member, but changed to District 5 up under redistricting. Henry County has 48,750 students. We have 50 schools, and we're currently building a new elementary school and one on the way, and a new STEM high school in the city of Stockbridge. Out of our 50 schools, 48% of them are Title I schools. And so that's just a brief synopsis of what we have here in Henry County, about who we are, where we're going. And again, I just look forward to having a fruitful conversation with you, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. McDaniel. I'm excited to have this conversation, not just a product, because I'm a product of Henry County schools, but I truly believe that public schools are the basis and grounds for our communities. So I think I really want to just jump in the topic here. One of the biggest things that I've been hearing when I've asked some questions to the community leaders, what do you want to see us talk about when I'm talking to your board member? And the number one thing that came up, and I think you and I had this conversation as well, it's budgeting season.
Yes,
And
sir.
we all know that Henry County Schools has the biggest budget in the
Yes.
county. So what are your thoughts so far on the budget thus far? Have you reviewed it? What are the plans or objectives, if you can disclose, for the community?
Yes, sir. And again, hit the nail on the head. We are in the middle of budget season, FY25 budget season. And again, you're correct that last year we had a budget that was almost near $700 million, the biggest budget that Henry County has had in a very long time. Not going to say that it might be rosy this year, but that's what we had last year. And so some of the things that we're looking at currently, as we just discussed it on Monday, is actually the governor through the state superintendent is proposing a $2,500 increase for all teachers. Now, obviously, that money will get passed through to the individual school districts. But the thing is that Henry County, we employ more teachers than what the state allocates for us in funding. So, of course, we're going to have to dip into our fund balance to ensure that the $2,500 is seen for everyone. And then on top of that, we may look at trying to do our own pay raise. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but you know how things go with budget. You got to look and see about the happy medium. So that's one thing that we're definitely looking at. Another thing that we're also looking at is that, again, from the state, they're going to be increasing the teacher retirement system contributions. So we've got a plan for that. We also have to look at the fact that thankfully the governor has also given us more funds when it comes down to safety and security measures to ensure that our schools are safe. So we hopefully, if the legislature will pass that, then we can take those funds to help increase our school safety and security infrastructure. And then another thing that I personally am recommending to the board, and again, it's 5 of us, so we got to find a consensus. But one thing that I'm recommending is that we do find a way, and I think we are. Part of the plan is to ingest the fundings for the mental health and wellness facilitators, which help our students, and it also helps our staff. But one of the biggest things, Mr. Williams, that I have been looking at and I asked about on this past Monday is about our grant structure or grant infrastructure and how we need to find a way to get more grants in Henry County. We don't have that right now. So we're trying to find a way to get a grant department so therefore we actually can get grants for our system. That's one of the things that we're definitely looking at, sir.
I love that we're looking at that because education is very important, not just
Yes, sir.
for us now, but way on down the line. One of the things that I kind of want to touch on that you just brought up is the grants, right?
Yes, sir.
Uh, so are those grants primarily coming from the state down to the county level?
So grants, we can get them from the federal that comes down through the state and down to the county level. Then we have some grants that are just, they come through the state budget. But then you actually have some grants, if I may use the Cap County as an example, they just received a $30 million grant from the U.S. Department of Education for electric buses. So that's an example right there. But then we have grants that come in from local business entities like APLA. They always support us. Snapping Shoals, they support us with grants and things like that. So there's a mixture, but a lot of times the individual school is kind of left to do it. And I would like to find a way to where the school system at the district office is looking for grants that will help out the entire district instead of one particular school where necessary.
That sounds so good. So what are some things that I know we just had an additional, just coming from an alumni standpoint? I know we just added an additional hallway to Dutchtown High School.
Yes, sir.
And then we also got them a new sign. It looks great. You guys, if you ever stop by or just drive through Dutchtown, they got a new sign out. But what are some of the other things that you have preparing for your district or your other schools in your districts to ensure that they're getting that same treatment? We all know Dutchtown is probably one of the largest high schools in the county, but we want to make sure that all of the schools are getting equal and fair treatment on top of that. So what are like some of the things that you plan to bring coming up for your schools?
Well, so again, you're right. Dutchtown is now with that additional wing that they just added. I think the capacity at Dutchtown High School now is always near, don't quote me on this, but near like 2,000 students. It's like a mini university. So Dutchtown High School had an expansion. Dutchtown Middle School is getting ready to have an expansion to their school. And then there are going to be other growth projects that are going on, whether it be in the Ola cluster or wherever. There's so many of them, so I don't want to start naming and forget one. But I do know that there are many growth projects that are coming up because the county is expanding so fast. We're building a new elementary school off of Willow Lane here in McDonough called Birch Creek. We have a new elementary school being built down in Locust Grove because of their expansion. So those are some of the things that we are looking at, even a new bus terminal here near Oakland Elementary to ensure that students on the western side of the district, which is majority of my district, but really for everyone, that our students are not having to be on a bus too long and missing class time. And then, East Boston will be coming up in about 18 months. So we'll start that conversation all over again about what we can do for East Boston next round to ensure that we are doing growth projects as, again, the county is expanding.
And I love that you brought up East Bluff. So that definitely means that you're coming back to the community conclave so we can talk about our plans for East Bluff for our county.
Yes,
One
sir.
of the things that you definitely said that I want to talk about when you did your introduction and you talked about what you've done for the community thus far, and I know you've got so much more to do, and I'm excited to see what you do in District 5, now District 5.
Yes, sir.
But you talked specifically about redistricting. Now, I'm going to have some conversations over the next few months and bringing some experts from the House of Representatives and the Senate to talk really primarily about redistricting primarily for Henry County. But what is your take for the school board level? Because I know it flips some of you all as well.
Yes, sir. So upon this last redistricting, as you know, I went from District 2 to District 5. And so what happened is, Jaden, is I now have 7 out of the 10 high schools in Henry County.
Wow.
I have McDonough, Hampton, Luella, Dutchtown, Ola, Eagles Landing, and Locust Grove High School. Though I have those 7 schools now, high schools, but I have a total of 24. So the redistricting took my district out near Old Jackson Road. It moved me to the northern part of Hampton and moved the southern part of Hampton into District 1. So my district changed drastically,
Yeah.
but the service does not change. The advocacy does not change. What the voice of the people is still the same, regardless of race, color, gender, creed, socioeconomic status, political affiliation. None of those things matter because advocacy is for everyone.
Right.
And the voice of the people is just as strong on the eastern side of the district, the northern, the southern, and the western side of the district, because everyone has students that enter into our hallways that are expected to be educated by exceptional teachers, and then they expect that excellency to be reciprocated back home. So what the redistricting has done for me, sir, is that it has allowed me to open my eyes to see Henry County from a bigger lens versus just a lens that is focused strictly on the western side of the district. It has allowed me to see, and hear from different voices within our community, which only strengthens the advocacy that I think that I can do by being on the school board. So redistricting really did not hurt me. If anything, it helped me because now I get to see my spectrum is far greater than what it once was initially.
Right. I love that. Uh, I love that. You hit that right on the nail. I'm still you're saying you hit that right on the nail. Because even though it changed, your structure and your advocacy and your passion for the community is still there.
Yes, sir.
I definitely can agree that we still need leaders in Henry County that are pushing for that aspect.
Yes, sir.
I want to stop it there. You hit it right on the nail. But we got some more to talk about.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We have so much to talk about. I know you said we have over 50 schools in Henry County overall, and you're now building a new elementary school, right? You're building a new elementary school, Birch Creek in McDonough.
Yes, sir. It is McDonough, right off of Willow Lane, in between Bridges and Jonesboro Road, sir.
Bridges and Jonesboro. Oh, gotcha. And then you're building a STEM school.
Yes, sir.
In Stockbridge.
Right behind Stockbridge Elementary.
Now that's exciting.
Yes,
I
sir.
know this is exciting. And is this our first STEM school in Henry County?
Yes, sir. It will be as far as I know, the first specialized high school that we have. Of course, you have the Academy for Advanced Studies, which is also a specialized CTAE high school, but the STEM high school will be focused strictly on, again, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So there is a blueprint for how the new STEM school will be. Of course, it'd be for high schoolers. It'd be state of the art. It will be right behind Stockbridge Elementary School on the other side of actually the amphitheater. So I'm excited about it. We haven't broke ground on it yet, but I'm excited about the fact that, we are focusing on the things that will allow our seniors, those that graduate from Henry County to be specialized, but then be positioned for success in a global economy. And that's what this is about. It's making sure that, for folks like you as an alumni, that, when you turn the tassel, you are positioned for success in a global economy. It just wasn't just here in Georgia or Henry County or whatever. It allowed you to have pathways wherever that it can take you. So that's what we're really focusing on. And that's what I think the continued focus should be, sir.
That was good. I'm excited. I'm excited for that new STEM school only because you don't see stuff like this coming out and developing in the rural areas of Georgia.
Yes, sir.
And for Henry County, what we used to call a small county, small town, Sometimes you pass by it. It's not much, maybe a gas station if you can stop. It's really grown and
Yes, sir.
expanded tremendously. I know for a fact, and my grandmother, when she went to Georgia State University, whatever you do, don't pass through Henry County. Do not pass through Henry County.
Yes,
And
sir. She
now
says it a
we're in
lot.
a right, and now we're in a position to where Henry County is flourishing, it's growing, and it's not yet turning urban, but it's getting to a point to where it's not rural, but it's also not urban.
That's true.
And the fact that we're keeping education at the epicenter of that makes Henry County even more better.
Yes, sir.
So shout
And
out to you and the board members and our elected officials that are pushing for a greater cause in Henry County. And we knew we were, just to kind of skip over, we knew we were going to have a question like this, Boardman McDaniels, but I'm going to read it, and I'll share it to the screen as well.
okay.
But as a board member, I know you have great insight on the selection process of a superintendent if she decides to move on. So I'm going to add it. And the question is from one of our community members. What are your concerns, if any, with Dr. Davis leaving Henry County to be the superintendent for Cherokee County if selected?
So, Mr. Williams, and I knew this question might come up, and I definitely understand and get it. But because of where we are and what's going on right now, I cannot speak to the situation with our superintendent
Yeah,
and where we are with that. You know, so I really can't speak to the fact of where we are in that. I'm pretty sure there are a lot of people. Here in Henry and in Cherokee that are, glued to what's going on. But I'm pretty sure, as the days come, sir, we'll be able to know what path we have to go down. But let me just say this about Dr. Davis.
yeah,
Um, many folks have known that I did not vote for her the first 2 years, and I voted for her last year. Um, and so the reason why, and I can say this because I believe in being honest and true and transparent to the community. But one of the reasons why I did vote for Dr. Davis is because we did make a shift and we did move to a posture of greater success. Now, let me be honest. Everyone can't stay on the mountaintop forever. Everyone comes down from the mountain. Everyone comes down from the plateau and find themselves into the valley as we reset, as we see about whether this worked and whether this didn't work, because things change so often and so quick. So again, we are in a holding pattern. I was shocked that Dr. Davis, when I got the call that she said she was leaving. And that was something that I did not see. I don't think my board colleagues saw that. But one thing about it is this, and forgive me for being biblical in this moment, but I always believe that God always appoints us to a place for a time. And then we have to be obedient when that time is up to move where God wants us to be. So if it's for her to go to Cherokee County, then my blessings be with her as she goes there. And if not, then we still have a superintendent that we have to work with, and we still have 48,000 students that we've got to make sure are positioned for success.
and that was the number one answer. I know a lot of people in the community were probably ready to ask that question, only because it has been all over social media.
Yes,
It's been
sir.
all in the newspapers. But what I can do is I want to commend not just Dr. Davis for some of the work that she's done for Henry County Schools, but especially with the board, because it's hard to work with a board that some may are still trying to scope you out while you're in the process of doing the work.
Yes, sir.
So I definitely commend her for the work that she's done in Henry County. And if she decides to leave, we wish her well.
Yes, sir.
But just like you said, and you said it best, Henry County will continue to move forward on behalf of its students.
And that's what this is about, sir. It's about making sure that students are positioned for success, regardless of who our superintendent is.
Absolutely. Now that we've got the elephant out of the room, because I just had a feeling somebody was going to ask that question, and they asked it. Now that we've got that elephant out the room, and you've stated your case and your side on the superintendent, let's really get into some of the most rigorous things that are about to happen in our state in regards to education. I do have the pleasure to work on behalf or with Representative Lydia Glaze of District 67 on House of
Mhm.
Representatives, and one of her primary goals is education, whether it's higher education or pre-K to 12th grade.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that she says that it always encourages me every time we have a conversation is expanding educational opportunities. Now, not when she says that, she's not just talking about education per se, but she's also talking about how it looks on paper, on books. We're now in an era where a lot of stuff is going advanced technology. So, what are your thoughts on expanding educational opportunities for Henry County? And then maybe if you know any of the bills that are about to come out or that the governor has already placed his notion on about education in the state.
So, if I could take the question this way,
Mhm.
um, we have a policy in place that talks about screen time, that talks about finding a balance between students being on the computer and then being able to read from out of a book, because you it is very important that people that our scholars, that people in general, that they know how to read, that they know how to write, that they know how to comprehend, but also master the things that they're being taught. And
Yes.
so, therefore, those are the things that concern me. But here's the thing, and I'm going to make it short because sometimes I can be long-winded. But here's the thing that concerns me is that we can't get a student to learn. We can't get a student to have content mastery. We can't get a student to pay attention or to be attentive in class if we first do not find a way to begin to address the things that they're having to face, whether it be at home, through their socioeconomic status, or because they're transient, or because they may not have food to eat, things like that. If we can find a way to begin to address those things, then maybe we can then begin to address the ills of why our students may not be learning the way they need to learn. So yes, it's fine to have a laptop in their face, but it's also good to have a book there at the exact same time to increase social engagement, to increase the conversation between the teacher and the scholar. Um,
Yeah.
so for me, that is a very loaded question, because there are so many things that today's students have to face that maybe I didn't or your generation didn't have to face. So it's always an evolution and always revolving. So I really don't know how to answer that, other than the fact that we've got to begin to allow teachers to teach content mastery, but we also have got to find a way to begin to address the things that are going on in the home environment as well, because some kids are taking what's happening at home and injecting it into the classroom. And because we don't have the resources available in the school system to address the issues, then what we do is we either kick that student down the road and let that issue compound for someone else to deal with, or we just find, or we don't address it at all. And then there are other avenues that the student has to take, and now they're not in school at all.
Mm,
So we all got to come to the table on this, regardless of Republican, Democrat, black, white, or whatever. We've got to come to the table and find a consensus when it comes down to our children, because it's not a political fight. It should not be.
that's good. I actually agree with that 1000% when it comes down to it's not being a political fight, but the importance of making sure that we as a community can back our students in education and not just have them glued to a TV. Because, our generation is saying stand on business when a lot of our community is also iPad kids.
I
And
agree.
when I say iPad kids, because for those that don't know, it's people that are always glued to their cellular device or their iPad. And so, how can we draw the basis back to understanding and mastering those concepts? And I'm gonna be honest, board member, you've been doing that in our community, and I got to give you your credit for that.
Well, bless you, sir. I will just say that I have 4 kids here in Henry County. I grew up with books in my book bag, walking up and down the street, and some of those books was 1,200 pages in each one of them. But we had to do that, and I understand we're in a technological time, but you cannot lose those valuable skills. You cannot lose that. You are not we're not setting them up for success when we do that, sir.
Agreed. I see another chat or another comment rather from our live stream audience, and we are streaming from Jaden for the People on Facebook, Young Democrats of Georgia Black Caucus Facebook and YouTube channel. So we have a multitude of people, not just from Henry County, but across the state viewing us. Someone from Morgan County just dropped in the chat and they asked, we know you're in a candidate, you're now in an election season. What sets you apart from your opponent or opponents?
Well, I put it like this. I kind of saw that was coming as well. I will say this. I'm grateful for the fact that we have a system to where a democracy, a system to where people run for office. And my opponent, we ran against each other. We actually kind of ran against each other, run against the incumbent at that time in 2020. I know her. She is a great person. But I will just say this. I have done the work. I've done the work. I have been true to the work. I've been transparent about the work, and I have been a fighter and will continually be a fighter for all students, regardless of where they are in this county, because I truly believe that what makes me a good board of education member is because I truly care about the students. I truly care about their welfare. I truly care about their parents and their parents' voices, the community voices. But I also care and I'm concerned about our staff, because I recognize that our staff members, some of them are working 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night to put grades in. And some of our staff members are working 2 or 3 jobs a day. And so for me, what makes me and why I'm running for reelection is because the work is not done. We have done some great things, Jaden, but the work is not done. And I truly believe that advocacy that I have brought to the table, that God has allowed me to bring to the table, that advocacy has allowed us to look at things that others have tried to sweep up underneath the rug. We have a climate culture issue here in Henry County, which I've spoke on. We have issues with we have, and let's just be honest, we have some gang issues that's going on in our county, and so I truly believe that in order for you to be that great board of education member, that good board of education member, you've got to speak truth to power, regardless of how others may perceive it or take it. And so I just think that I've been blessed enough to be in a position to where we have increased our compensation, to where we have purchased 75 new buses over 3 years, to where we are looking at class sizes, to where we are looking at climate and culture, to where we recognize that we're not done. There's more work to be done, but we have to have a conscious conversation about it and not be afraid of what's said. So I'm thankful and I'm grateful, but I'm running for reelection because the work is not done. And I truly believe that, I'm the best person at this particular time to remain in this seat to continue to do the work that is required of us to do, sir.
Yes, indeed. I knew your pastor was going to come out eventually. I'm glad it's coming out. But it's
Yes,
something
sir.
you definitely hit something on the other that I wanted to mention. And that was you talking about building the cultures of our schools.
Yes, sir.
And that kind of leads me into the next question. Let me say this before I go into it. If you have any questions, again, thank you for tuning in to the Community Conclave. If you have any questions, please drop them in the chat wherever you're streaming, and we will make sure that Board Member McDaniel can answer as many as possible. But you said something that really hit the nail on something one of our community members actually just said, coming up next. And they asked, what improvements can we expect with the culture and climate in our schools?
And again, that's something that I ran upon, Jaden, in 2020, is about the climate and culture of our schools. And one of the things that I'm glad that we have done is that when upon me being elected to office, we did do not only did we do a compensation study, but we did look at the climate and culture of our school system. So therefore, there was a time to where we had culture sensitivity training, but we know that that cannot be a one-time thing. That culture sensitivity and climate sensitivity has to be continuous. And that we have got to continue to raise our level of consciousness about how, and forgive me for how I'm going to say this, but again, it's just the truth that I feel, that we have to raise a level of consciousness at how our African-American teachers deal with their Caucasian student, and how a Caucasian teacher deals with the African-American student, and that they understand the nuances of that student, and understand that when a student is hungry, this is how they may act, or when a student's having a problem, this is how they may act, instead of us always rushing to judgment. But then we also have got to look at how teachers communicate with each other, how building leaders understand one another, and how they provide the proper professional development to, as we just talked about on Monday when we talked about the CCRPI, is making sure that professional development is tailored towards Jaden Williams, who's been there 1 year, versus me that's been there 10 years. So you're going to need more support than maybe but we've got to ensure that it's there for you, which then goes to this. Our climate and culture has got to be in a position to where we can hopefully slow down the revolving door of losing teachers. We are not helping our students when they see 4 different teachers in 1 week. How can a student truly learn and be proficient when they're seeing a different different teacher, or when there is not a teacher in the classroom, or when the classroom has 35 students in it? That presents a problem that, again, we have to continue to look at, sir.
That's good. I'm glad that you kind of went into the teacher aspect. That was another question I had for you. What are your thoughts, or your takes rather, on retaining our teachers, and then also building on the legacy of bringing in more teachers to build a stronger community for our schools?
Well, one of the good things that I think that Dr. Davis and the board has done has built a student to teacher pipeline. That's something that we have done, is that's taking those students that are looking to become teachers and then ushering them into the teacher profession, and then helping them through the GTAP program, to get the certifications. But one of the things that I have continued to try to advocate for is what's needed is what some of the other districts are doing. If Jaden has, as an example, sir, if Jaden has an associate's, but he wants to go to a bachelor's or a master's or a doctorate degree, then how about we partner in your educational progression? Because if we partner with your educational progression, if we partner with you, then hopefully our partnership, you can reciprocate that back to our students. Yeah. Which will then cease and slow down some of the teachers that are leaving. Now, here's the reality of the fact. Teachers may go to a Clayton County because of higher pay, or, because some districts don't take out Social Security. So you do have that monetary aspect. But again, it goes back to also climate and culture, because some teachers will stay if the climate and culture is good, versus my pocket may not look too good, but I love where I teach. I love my building leader, and I love my environment. So it is a multi-level approach. That we have to look at on that.
That was good. I agree with you on that. Only because I know future teachers in the making, and it troubles me, one, as a young Black man, that there's only about 3% of educators that are Black men, or less than that. And it's probably, I think the stats are about 10-15% that are actually Black people. And so, reaching out to those students, and I was actually having a conversation with an educator last Saturday, and she was explaining, sometimes we have to go the extra mile for the student, because you never know what the student's going through back at home. So whether that's bringing a bag of toiletries, or packing a few extra snacks for the student to bring home, we are setting, or you all as board members are setting a standard for our teachers to ensure that we're creating an environment, right? And it's not just, okay, you go to school 8 to 3, go home. but you all are setting a standard of how you need to operate and grooming them into the next leaders and developers for tomorrow. So we were having that conversation, and the teacher said sometimes it's okay to have that extra risk, or it's okay to take that extra mile with a specific student, especially if sometimes they may need that extra help. Um,
And
what might be?
and I'm proud to say, if you don't mind me saying this, I'm proud to say that I know some teachers, and I know you do too, that have gone the extra mile because not only because they love the job, but because of the faith they actually have in the students that they're interacting with, that they know that if I just give that extra, if I just go the extra mile, that, or, if I just give that hug, if I just give that smile, that might be the moment that helps that student remember who they are. A
Yeah,
lot of our teachers are mothers and fathers away from home. They're your sisters, your brother, your aunties, your uncles away from home because they're at the school more often than not. But again, I think it goes back to where one of your earlier questions, Mr. Williams, is that we've got to find a way to, if Jaden goes home and he grades papers, then Jaden goes home, he grades paper, and he's not concerned about, I got to grade papers, and now I've got to go out here and work another job to help my ends meet. We've got to find a way to ease some of the burdens on our teachers.
yeah, that's good actually. Now we've said a handful tonight.
Sorry about that, sir. I'm just passionate. I just, we this is a ministry. This is what we're called to do, sir.
Yes, indeed, it is a ministry, and only a few are chosen to join it. I'm honored. First, let me say I'm honored to have people like you, pillars and of our community, to answer that call and take that risk and doing stuff that a lot of people dream about.
Yes, sir.
You all are the reason why a lot of young people are able to dream, because you're showing them history, you're showing them they can do it, and you're showing them they can progress. And I don't want to close out this community conclave without you at least having some closing words, telling people where they can follow you and continue to see your journey as a board member.
Yes, sir. Well, again, Mr. Williams, Jaden, I want to say this, as a pastor, if you don't mind, when you operate as you have in the anointing of God, you don't worry about what others say or how others feel, because you know that what you're doing and where you're going, that God has already ordered your steps, and that if you continue to be led by Him, then He will never lead you astray. So
Yeah.
I would just want to, say to you, sir, continue to be that beacon of light in the community. It does not matter your age. What matters is that I'm operating in the anointing of God. And so I thank you for this conversation on this evening. And I thank you for those that came on to participate in the questions. Again, my name is McKenzie McDaniel. I am running for re-election for Board of Education here in District 5 in Henry County. And I am running for re-election due to the fact that when the good Lord allowed me to step foot on that platform dais 4 years ago, He has reminded me recently that the work is not done, that the mission is not completed, that the ministry must continue on, because there is a child out there that is looking not only to me, not only to Jaden, but to those online to continue to be a beacon of hope in a world that sometimes has clouds and dark days with us. So I will just say to everyone that's on here that's listening, that my passion for this job has never ended, that my advocacy work has never ceased, that my faith in Henry County, my faith in the 48,750 students, that the faith in all 6,000 employees, that the faith of all the parents that sit down and put faith in us to bring our students, your scholars to Henry County has never ceased. There is work that needs to be done. Your voice matters. Your vote matters. Your emails matter, because guess what? It is your child, your scholar that you're advocating for. And I'm just glad to be the vessel. So if you don't mind, follow me on McKenzie McDaniel as my Facebook page, and my Board of Education page is McKenzie McDaniel. Board of Education, I can't change it for some odd reason from District 2, but if you follow me there, you'll be able to get District 5 stuff as well. So Jaden, I just want to say to you, sir, blessings to you on your path, blessings to you on your anointing. And my brother, do not grow weary in well doing, for you will reap if you faint not, sir.
Yes, sir. I received that, board member. And I thank you for joining Community Conclave. Community, listen, this is only the first of many conversations. And you heard it here first. I've already invited board member back. So we're going to come back for a part 2 because this was a needed conversation. So thank you again, board member, for having us. Community, feel free to follow me on social media at Jaden for the People on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, wherever you find me, that's me. I look forward to hearing from you all. If you want to reach out, if you have an opportunity that you want to speak on Community Conclave, please reach out and someone from my team will make sure that we get you on the conclave. Thank you. My name is Jaden Williams and we are signing out.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.